Ready to dive into some serious silk intrigue today.
I'm ready.
Did you know that in the 6th century
Mm-hmm.
CE, the Roman Empire
Yeah.
pulled off one of history's most daring heists?
Wow.
We're not talking gold or jewels. We're
Right.
talking
Interesting.
silkworms.
That's right. The Roman Empire was facing some tough times, plague wars,
Oh, wow.
and a major drain on their treasury,
Hmm.
thanks to their insatiable appetite for silk.
So, like a recipe for an empire-sized meltdown.
Yeah, you could say that.
So how did silkworms cause such chaos?
Well, the silk trade at the time was controlled by the Sasanian Persian Empire.
Okay.
They dominated the Silk Road and used their monopoly to inflate prices and exert pressure on the Romans.
Okay.
This created a significant economic and political vulnerability
Right.
for the Roman Empire.
So basically, the Romans were hooked on silk,
Yeah.
and the Persians held all the cards.
It did.
I'm sensing some serious tension brewing here.
Oh, absolutely.
What did the Romans do to try and break free from this dependence?
Well, Emperor Justinian I,
Right.
a shrewd and ambitious ruler, wasn't about to let this stand. He explored various options, trying to establish alternative trade routes through Crimea and Ethiopia. But these attempts ultimately failed,
Wow.
leaving him with a challenging dilemma.
So, enter stage left,
Hmm.
2 monks.
Exactly.
But these weren't your everyday chanting in the garden variety.
Right.
These were monks with a mission, right?
Exactly. These were Nestorian Christian monks
Okay.
who had ventured all the way to China,
Wow.
the source of this coveted fabric.
Interesting.
They had witnessed silk production firsthand
Oh, wow.
and saw an opportunity to help their empire.
Okay, so I'm picturing a scene straight out of a spy thriller, monk on a top secret mission,
Yeah.
sneaking around in silk-producing regions.
That's a good way to put it.
What were they even hoping to achieve?
Well, their goal was ambitious, to say the least.
Okay.
To steal the secret of silk production. Keep in mind, this was a closely guarded secret.
Right.
Knowing how to cultivate silkworms and weave their silk was incredibly valuable.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how valuable knowledge was in a time without instant communication
Yeah, absolutely.
or the internet.
Yeah.
But how did they even manage to smuggle something as delicate as silkworms out of China?
That's where things get really ingenious.
Okay.
The sources suggest they hid silkworm eggs,
Mm-hmm.
or possibly very young larvae,
Mm.
in hollowed-out bamboo canes.
Oh.
It was a risky and delicate operation,
Yeah.
but it proved successful.
So these monks basically pulled off a 6th century heist,
Exactly.
smuggling the foundation of a silk empire back to Rome.
Yeah, you could say that.
This is incredible. Talk about a power move.
Mm-hmm.
But surely the Persians weren't just going to sit back and watch their monopoly crumble, right?
You're absolutely right.
The-
The Persian reaction to this development
Yeah.
and the impact it had on their relationship with the Roman Empire
Yeah.
is a story for another part of our deep dive.
Ooh, I'm already on the edge of my seat.
Great.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Okay.
I want to go back to the monks for a moment.
Sure.
Their role in all of this is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us about the lives of these Nestorian monks and their journeys to China?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that takes us into the complex world of early Christianity and the vast trade networks that crisscrossed Eurasia.
Wow.
The Nestorians were a branch of Christianity deemed heretical by the Roman Church, which led them to establish communities and missions far beyond the traditional borders of the Roman Empire.
So these monks weren't just on a spiritual quest. They were also explorers and cultural bridges in a way.
Yes, and their journeys brought them into contact with the wonders of the East,
Right.
including the marvel of silk production.
It's amazing.
Their travels highlight the interconnectedness of the ancient world and the surprising ways in which ideas, goods, and even insects could travel across vast distances.
Yeah, it really makes you realize how much we take for granted in today's world of instant communication and global travel.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that history is full of these unexpected connections and individuals who played pivotal roles in shaping the course of events.
Right.
In the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve deeper into the consequences of the monks' audacious act and explore how the Roman silk industry flourished and shaped the empire's destiny.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Welcome back. Before the break, we were discussing how two monks smuggled silkworm eggs into the Roman Empire.
Right.
And it's safe to say that this act had seismic consequences.
It's almost hard to fathom how such a seemingly small act,
Right.
smuggling some eggs in a bamboo cane,
Yeah.
could trigger such a huge shift.
It really does. It speaks volumes about the power of knowledge and technology, even in the ancient world.
Mm-hmm.
With the silkworms safely in Constantinople, the Romans were able to cultivate their own silk,
Okay.
ending their reliance on the Persians.
So did silk factories start popping up all over the Roman Empire?
They did.
Did they become the new silk powerhouse?
Yeah. Silk production took root,
Yep.
particularly in Constantinople, which became a major center for silk weaving and manufacturing.
Wow.
This newfound industry brought with it economic prosperity and a surge in skilled craftsmanship.
That's amazing. I can imagine this must have had a profound impact on the Roman economy.
Yeah.
Did they completely stop importing silk from the East?
Not entirely. While the Romans could now produce their own silk, they still imported high-quality silk from China, especially for luxury items.
Okay.
This suggests that while they achieved self-sufficiency, they still recognized the superior quality of some Chinese silk.
So even with their own production, there was still a demand for that imported luxury.
Yeah.
It kind of speaks to like the enduring allure of certain goods, even across vast distances.
Absolutely. It also reminds us that trade is rarely black and white. Even when empires compete, there's often an element of interdependence.
Right. So the Romans had their own silk industry.
Right.
They were still trading with China.
Yes.
But what about the Persians? I bet they weren't too happy about this turn of events.
You're right. The Persians saw this as a direct threat to their economic and political power. Their control over the Silk Road was a major source of their influence.
I'm imagining some serious diplomatic standoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even threats of war.
Well, the historical sources are somewhat vague on the specifics of their response.
Okay.
But it's safe to assume that tensions escalated.
Right.
The silk industry was a major economic engine,
Yeah.
and its disruption would have had significant consequences for the Persian Empire.
This whole saga is kind of giving me Game of Thrones vibes,
Really?
with empires clashing and power plays,
Uh-huh.
and all centered around silk.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how this event shaped the relationship between the Roman and Persian empires.
That's a great point. While the sources don't provide a blow-by-blow account,
Okay.
it's logical to assume that the Roman acquisition of silkworms contributed to the ongoing rivalry and conflict between the two empires.
Yeah.
The balance of power had shifted, and that rarely happens without consequences.
It's fascinating to think about how something as seemingly simple as silk could have such far-reaching political and economic implications.
It is.
But beyond the immediate impact,
Yeah.
how did this new silk industry shape Roman society in the long term?
That's a question that takes us beyond just economics and into the realm of culture and identity.
Okay.
Silk, once a luxury only the most elite could afford,
Great.
became more accessible to a wider range of Romans.
So did silk become a symbol of Roman pride?
Yeah.
A way of showcasing their newfound independence?
Exactly. Roman silk, with its distinctive designs and colors,
Okay.
emerged as a powerful expression of Roman identity and craftsmanship. It was a testament to their ingenuity and a sign of their growing economic and cultural influence.
So it's amazing how something that started as a smuggled secret became woven into the fabric of Roman society, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
But this is just one side of the story.
Right.
What about the ethical implications of the monks' actions?
Oh.
Was stealing the secret of silk production considered acceptable back then?
That's a question that gets to the heart of how different cultures and time periods view intellectual property and the sharing of knowledge. In the ancient world, ideas and technologies were often seen as communal property, something to be disseminated and shared,
Right.
rather than closely guarded secrets.
So were the monks seen as heroes for bringing this valuable knowledge back to Rome?
Well,
Or were there dissenting voices, those who saw their actions as a form of theft?
it's difficult to say with certainty how their actions were perceived at the time.
Okay.
However, from a Roman perspective, their mission was undoubtedly seen as a triumph, a strategic victory
Right.
that boosted their empire's standing. Whether there were ethical debates about the methods employed is something we can only speculate about,
Yeah.
as the sources don't provide much insight into those discussions.
It's a reminder that history is often told from the perspective of the victors,
Yeah,
and we don't always get the full picture.
that's true.
But one thing's for sure, this silk saga raises some timeless questions about innovation competition and the flow of knowledge across cultures.
Indeed. It also underscores how seemingly insignificant events can have a ripple effect across time,
Yeah.
shaping the destinies of empires and leaving a lasting mark on the world.
Okay.
And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll bring this story into the modern era,
Okay.
exploring how the pursuit of economic advantage, sometimes through clandestine means,
Hmm.
continues to shape our world today.
We've been on quite a journey with this silk story, haven't we?
We have.
From those two monks smuggling eggs
Yeah.
to a full-blown Roman silk industry
Right.
and the geopolitical fallout with Persia.
Right.
It really highlights how even something as seemingly simple as fabric can have a global impact.
It really does. It's a testament to how interconnected the world has always been, even in ancient times.
Right.
And while the methods and commodities may have changed,
Yeah.
the underlying drive for economic and technological advantage
Right.
is something that continues to shape our world today.
That's a great point. So how does this ancient silk saga connect to the modern world?
Okay.
Are we still seeing instances of silk espionage, so to speak?
Absolutely.
Really?
Think about the fierce competition for cutting-edge technologies,
Mhm.
rare earth minerals,
Right.
or even things like microchips.
Like-
Those are the modern-day equivalents of silk.
Interesting.
Nations and corporations are constantly vying for control
Yeah.
of the resources and innovations that drive our global economy.
So are we saying that the race for the latest smartphone
Uh-huh.
is basically a 21st century silk war?
In a way, yes.
Oh, okay.
The stakes may seem different, but the core principles are remarkably similar.
Okay.
It's about controlling the supply chains, the knowledge, and the means of production that give you an edge in a competitive global marketplace.
It's fascinating how history often echoes itself in unexpected ways.
It is.
But what about the ethical considerations?
Okay.
Back then, the concept of intellectual property was different.
Right.
Today, we have patents, trademarks, trade secrets.
Yeah.
How do we navigate these ethical dilemmas in a world where information travels at the speed of light?
That's one of the biggest challenges we face in the 21st century. The lines have blurred, and the speed of innovation often outpaces our ability to establish clear ethical frameworks.
Right.
We're constantly grappling with questions about what constitutes fair competition,
Yeah.
when collaboration crosses the line into espionage, and how to protect intellectual property in a globalized digital age.
It makes you wonder if there are modern-day monks out there working undercover to acquire the next game-changing technology.
It's certainly possible.
Wow.
While the methods may be more sophisticated and less reliant on bamboo canes,
Right.
the underlying motivations haven't really changed.
Okay.
The pursuit of knowledge, power, and economic advantage is a constant throughout human history.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
We've explored ancient trade routes,
Yeah.
covert missions, economic rivalries,
Right.
and the enduring allure of luxury goods.
Absolutely.
But most importantly, we've seen how events from centuries ago can still offer valuable insights into the challenges we face today.
And perhaps the most valuable lesson we can take away is that innovation often comes from unexpected places.
Yeah.
Whether it's two monks with a daring plan or a team of scientists working in a lab, the quest for knowledge and progress continues to drive us forward.
And who knows? Maybe the next silk is something we haven't even imagined yet.
That's the beauty of the future. It's full of possibilities.
Right.
And by understanding the patterns of the past, we can be better prepared to navigate the complexities of the present and shape a future where innovation and ethical considerations go hand in hand.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey through the world of silk espionage and the enduring quest for knowledge and power.
My pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.